Good morning. It is a beautiful day right here. Outnumbered is live on your screen. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and of course, I have Antonia Nwokolo. Good morning, Antonia.
Good morning, Ramsey.
And good morning, Christopher Sunday.
Good morning, Antonia and Ramsey.
Good morning, Christopher.
And good morning, viewers. It's good to have you there. Let's bring you to speed with the headlines for today. We're starting with the Vanguard newspaper. From the Vanguard newspaper this morning on page 6, we have this headline which says, a salary structure for judicial officers. CJN to earn 5.4 million naira monthly. Wow. Well, this is a very long time coming. It is happening now. Some people may be thinking or maybe feeling as if this is some form of a payback. If you know, you know. All right, moving away from there. On page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper, NLC Labour Party locked in supremacy battle. If you want to know what that is all about, pick the Vanguard newspaper. Then hardship, palliatives not reaching Nigerians. Catholic Church tells federal government. The details of that is on page 28 of the Vanguard newspaper. And the big story on the Vanguard says a killing. Troops comb Bayelsa Delta Creeks for militant leaders. Okay, that's from the Vanguard newspaper. We have a lot of writers to that story. There are so many. So you can just pick a copy of the Vanguard and go through the headlines and probably any of the stories that catches your fancy. So much to look at from the Vanguard newspaper. And this is going to be the size of the headlines from the Vanguard this morning as we move to the next paper.
All right, from the Guardian newspaper this morning, Senate passes student loan bill. That story you will get on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Naira eyes 1,300 per dollar at parallel market as speculators offload FX. I think that is the good news. If we continue like this, I think we'll maybe go back to 700 or 600 naira per dollar. Police arrest kidnappers of Chinese national in Kwara. A very good development there by the Nigerian police. That story you will find on page 12 of the Guardian newspaper. Army links Kuje jailbreak to absence of CCTV cameras. Orders. Remember about 2 weeks ago, we asked why in some of those places we do not have CCTVs. And where you have multiple of them at the presidency and the National Assembly and State House in Nigeria. So places like this should have CCTV too. International organizations to federal government. Don't scare credible investors away. Settle with Sunrise Mambila Hydro. This is about power. They should fix that immediately so that investors won't be wasting or spending much money on a generator. INEC to CSOs. No election reports, no accreditation. Yes. And then Okuma killings, Orobo monarchs. INC called for independent inquiry. And the big story there from the Guardian newspaper this morning is federal government spends 6 trillion naira subsidy on unavailable electricity in 10 years. That story you will find on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And that will be the size of our review from this end. Over to you, Antonia.
Thank you, Christopher. On the Punch newspaper, Tinubu pushes 60 million naira annual pay for Supreme Court justices. That story is on pages 2 and 15 of the Punch newspaper. Federal government varsity workers meeting deadlocked. Unions continue strike, and the details of that is on page 28 of the Punch newspaper. The big story on the Punch, Naira rebounds to 1,400 naira to a dollar as speculators offload forex. You can get the details of that story on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Labour Party demands NLC's president's arrest over party secretariat invasion. The details of that story is on page 28 of the Punch newspaper. And finally, NEMA blames water scarcity as fire razes 4 Lagos buildings. These are the headlines from the Punch newspaper. Do get a copy if any one of these interests you.
Water scarcity. Well, there's no water. In Lagos, where we have lagoons, where we have water everywhere, and, well, an island. Okay, thank you, Antonia, for that headline. Let's quickly get to the Daily Times and see what we have from there. From the Daily Times on page 6, we have this story which says court refuses to stop impeachment move against Edo Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu. Then I have another headline still above the header, BVN, NIN linkage, give it more time to run. Catholic Church urges federal government. The details of that you can get on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper. This one says, Senate extends 2023 Appropriation Act implementation to June 30, 2024. All right. Then the big story from the Daily Times newspaper this morning says, salaries, allowances for judicial office holders. CJN to collect 5.3 million naira monthly as reps pass new bill. This bill has been there, but now it's been passed. Just one rider to that story, and it says other Supreme Court justices each to get 4.2 million naira monthly. All right. And CBN clears all FX backlogs as external reserves rise to $34.11 billion. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Daily Times newspaper. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, Ramsey, Antonia, and Christopher will return back. And that will be time for the big story. We will be back.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleke TV. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. It is still outnumbered, and of course, my name is Ramsey Enoch, and I have Antonia Nwokolo and Christopher Sunday right here. And this is the time that a lot of people have been waiting for, the time for the big story. The big story today is actually big. We're talking about a story that is making round on almost all the papers this morning, and that is the increment of monthly salary for judicial officers. I'm beginning from the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Well, on the Daily Times newspaper, CJN to collect 5.3 million naira monthly as reps pass new bill, while Supreme Court justices will get 4.2 million naira monthly. This is every month. You know, a lot of persons will have questions to ask. And the reason is because of the incident that played out during the 2023 election. Behind camera, you know, some persons, right from when this story came up, some persons were asking questions. Well, sometimes the areas that people are expecting to hear increment in salary, because minimum wage has been there for a very long time. The push is up and down. Nothing has been done. Then judicial officers, especially the CJN and Supreme Court justices, to get this huge amount monthly. Could it be that the president is trying to make the judicial system better, or it is in a bid to make the CJN and these justices concentrate more on their job? Or can we say this is some form of appreciation for a job well done during the 2023 court election, 2023 election court cases? Because some person said The judiciary did a fantastic job. Some other person have questions and all of that. But on the whole, we can see that this bill is being passed by the reps already, and it's going to take effect. So my colleagues in the studio will add their voice to the conversation this morning, and I'll begin from Antonia. As it is, CJN justices to end this, but we still have other lawyers, okay, who are practicing on their own. And after the 2023 election, a lot of people said so many things. We were even on the street to find out from the people what they feel about the Nigeria judicial system, and a whole lot was said. What do you think? Is this a good move in the right direction, or this is going to pass a negative message, all right, to the Nigerian people? Because remember, a strike is going on right now as we speak. Okay, NASU, all right, and SANU. Then the minimum wage increment and all of that. So what do you make of this increment for the justices and the CGN?
Okay, so I think the federal government is not prioritizing the needs of Nigerians. Is it a wrong thing to increase the salaries of the Chief Justice of Nigeria or the justices of the Supreme Court? No, it is not. It is not out of place. But then the timing is what looks inappropriate, because, like you mentioned, NASU and SANU, they are still on strike. In one of on the Punch newspaper, the meeting between the federal government and the varsity workers was deadlocked, and the strike continues. That is to say, activities there are shut down. Why would you be increasing salaries of the justices when the educational system is crumbling? Why would you be increasing the salaries when the insecurity is still there? Is still on the rise? So it just goes to show that when Nigerians complain, the government does what is on their table, and they tend not to prioritize. There are certain things that are important. There are certain things that are urgent. Some things might be important, but they might not be urgent, while some things are urgent and they are also important. This strike action, the NLC's demands, the strike action by varsity workers, they are urgent and they are important. But this judicial increment of the salaries is important, but is it urgent?
It is important, but is it really urgent? Is it urgent? Is that what the Nigerian people need right now? Is it that some of the persons are going to be happy while others will be languishing in pain and hunger? Well, thank you, Antonia. That is awesome. Let me get to Christopher. This is very particular upon the time. Christopher, I know you were actually... I see the look on your face when I started talking about the big story. You know, Sonia said something. She said, well, it is not out of place. But the time...
It is out of place. It is out of place. This is, for me, the highest level of insensitivity to the people of this nation. On a day, the same week, ASU is threatening to go on strike because of unfulfilled agreements between them and the federal government that has to do with their own benefit, their rights as lecturers, hazards, whatever, research, whatever that is of benefit to our brothers and sisters who are still in the university. The federal government over years has been promising them back and front without fulfilling up to even 60% of those promises. This same week that they are threatening strike, the House of Rep is signing. See, the problem of this country is just because some persons who have godfather and some money misroad people who find themselves at the National Assembly who don't even have clue of what democratic leadership is all about. They are the ones that are putting us into problem. Do they even sit to read news? Most of the bills they come to the National Assembly to read to people are being written by lawyers and their media aides for them. So they are not even attuned with the happenings of this country. Yesterday there was a program that was supposed to take place at the National Assembly. You know we were supposed to be there. But the deputy speaker of the House of Rep, who was supposed to welcome these people, up to this morning, they have not seen him. People came from all walks of life to see him for something that is of importance to the country. Up to this moment, they have not seen him. The mission is for them to talk about unity of the country. So when people don't even know the quality of why they are in the house, the essence of why they are in the house, this is what you get. By the way, I even pray that this 5-point-something million naira per month is even the only money that he will get. Is that the only money that we get? Are we not aware? Are we not aware of
different allowances?
Yes, are we not aware of money that is changing hands between them for them to declare somebody winner or this or that? But in this same country, we see where people. Okay, we are talking about transportation now. We are talking about subsidy. We're talking about fuel. We're talking about hardship. We're talking about people not even eating like 3 square meals per day. And then in the midst of this hardship, you are increasing salary, for goodness sake. Who does that? When last did you hear that Ghana here or Cameroon increased the salary of people in the face of hardship? Nigeria is a country that God has blessed, and I pray that our leaders are not taking God for the benevolence of God for granted. Because when God would strike, you see this oil that we are banking on, even our arable land that we are not even using, God would decide to crash it. They should ask other powerful nations.
Where things like earthquake happen and all that.
Tornadoes happen and all that. Flood happens.
But in Nigeria, the only earthquake we have is politicians.
Leadership.
The leaders are so, I don't know.
We are increasing the salary of how many times does he go to office in a week?
That's it.
How many times
does he go
to office? How many times? I know some persons will be saying he's ignorant, he doesn't know. How many times do they even open the Supreme Court in a month? And then you are increasing his salary. Before you know, now you start hearing, well,
but some people will think all these things are happening because of the job well done during the 2023 election. Because some persons, I was on the street of Abuja personally, and people were so angry about everything that happened during the 2023 election. And now there is a benefit, an increment in salary coming in at this crucial time when Nigerians are suffering.
In as much as I do not have facts to that, but we are in Nigeria. My people will say meaning this is the corpse of a little child, and then you see the leg of a what's it called, horse. It means now the horse now kill the pikin, now match the pikin. You understand? So we are in Nigeria. When you see something like this, it's not far-fetched. We all know the role. We are from tribunal down to Supreme Court. At the end of it, you hear based on technicalities. About 9 to 10 cases, state governorship election tribunal down to Supreme Court. All of them were given back to the governors. No one was declared. Was revoked. All passed through the Supreme Court.
And went through without anybody.
Tribunal and appeal court will, like the case of Nasarawa State, both tribunal and appeal court said PDP won the election, but Supreme Court gave it back
to APC.
To APC. That is all I have to say.
Well, that's it. But then, as it is right now, a lot of Nigerians are still asking questions.
Now, a lot of people are confused. Are we having different interpretation from the tribunal to the appeal court? Or are they using different electoral law or constitution? How come the same judicial system under NGT
with different
different judgment and interpretation of the law? Is it that those are the lower whatever lack idea of what the electoral law is all about? The tribunal and the appeal court told you that this governor rigged the election and that PDP won, only for you to give him back to him. And then he gave Enugu back to Enugu, gave Kwara back to gave it to them. Only God knows how many money change hand there.
Alright, well, this is going to be the size of our number today, but then it is so obvious that Nigerians are not very satisfied with what is happening in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, leadership is not to impose things on the Nigerian people, but it is to lead, and leadership is servanthood. So, the increment of salaries for judicial officers, there is a question that needs to be asked. What about the average Nigerians that are suffering, that are hungry everywhere, protests everywhere? In fact, strike actions going on and meetings ending in the log and all of that. But then, as it is right now, where are we heading to in Nigeria? Thank you very much for being part of today's Outnumber the Big Story. Antonia, thank you for adding your voice to the conversation. And Christopher, thank you for bringing your thoughts to the table. My name is Ramsey. Have a beautiful day ahead of you. Bye-bye for now.